If you'd like to support this channel, we invite you to check us out on Patreon. Thank you so much. I just want to jump in here for a minute and give a very special thank you to John and Kurt for joining us on Patreon last month. I really appreciate you guys supporting us. I can't thank you enough for that. And if you guys are interested in supporting us on Patreon, I invite you to go check it out. I've built that page where it has multiple levels where you guys can give any amount you want. You know, you could give $1 a month and I'd be so grateful for it. But I also have some other tiers built in to offer some options for some more personalized support for you guys, just to kind of give you guys the option for some more advice or some personalized coaching. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and check us out at patreon.com/realturf. So let's jump into this video this week, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? So it's the first week of December and our fall has finally hit around Thanksgiving. And so the leaves have been falling out of the trees. It's been kind of cold and extremely windy here. It's been really gusty. For West Texas, that's kind of common, but it's been nasty here the last couple of weeks. So we've got a lot of leaves on the ground and it's kind of damp. And I've told you guys before, on bent grass, we want to make sure we keep that stuff picked up or it's just going to choke it out and cause some damage. And so we've got a lot of leaves out there on the putting green and just kind of around the yard. And so I'm gonna get all that cleaned up today, and I want to show you guys what it looks like if you don't take care of it. And you know, when the leaves start to get wet, they start to pile up, kind of the effects it has on your turf and some of the disease that you'll see that start to kind of creep in. And I just want to show you why it's really important that you keep all this cleaned up on cool season turf. So let's go get after it. Let's go get some of this cleaned up and I'll take you around and show you what we're looking at. So over here is where it starts to kind of pile up on the putting green, and what'll happen is this stuff gets wet. Just pick some of this out of the way and I'll show you guys. I don't know if you can tell or not, but that turf starts to yellow real bad whenever it gets like that. And when it gets wet on the bottom side, you'll start to develop a lot of disease underneath here. And so what happens is this will turn really yellow and it'll just start to choke it out. And so if we were to leave all this sitting here for a week, it would cause a lot of damage. It's been here for about 3 days, so it really hasn't been that bad. Unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of water on it just yet, but that's why I want to get this picked up, because all this, it's all lined up around that fence and all around the side of my property. All that stuff could really choke things out and get bad. So just want to make sure we keep all this cleaned up, you know, especially around here on these collars. We planted some new seed there at the fall, and so we just want to make sure that nothing crowds out and chokes out any of the bent grass that we have going on down through here. So here's a good example of what I'm talking about. You can see here in the middle right here, the grass is kind of tall and green and nice, and that's the way the rest of the yard is. Right underneath here is where all these leaves were stacked up and piled up, and this area right here is real damp, and this is where you'll see a lot of disease pressure start to build up. You can see it's brown, it's got this ring going on, and that's why you want to keep this stuff cleaned up, because what happens is these leaves, they fall and there's air in between them and everything's fine, but over time water starts getting on top of them. Your kids, your dogs start running around and packing it down. And so this starts to choke all this out. And what happens is it'll start to kill this grass. So it's really important that we get this cleaned up, get that airflow coming through here again. That way all this can restore itself. And so, you know, there's a million different ways you can go about cleaning up leaves. Well, I like to take the leaf blower around and blow all the leaves off the fence line, get them all out in the open, because I find it to be kind of counterproductive to take a leaf rake in there on some turf that's already kind of damaged and go in there and rake the top of it off and just cause more damage on it. So I like to get it all blown out into the open, get some air moving across that turf to kind of help it breathe a little bit, and just get everything out in the middle. It just makes it easier to work with, and then you're not raking and damaging the turf that you've already got some stress on. So this right here, all this yellow right here, this is what I'm talking about. You'll see a lot more of that if you're not careful. These leaves have been here for about a week, but if they've been here any longer, you're gonna start losing bent grass. You can already see some of it starting to disappear right there, and all that yellow is starting to form. So that's why we want to get rid of this stuff and just not let it sit on there. Just like I showed you before. You can see some of the brown areas here that have started to form. Some of the disease pressure starting to kick in. So just want to get all this cleaned up and out of here. So for several years I used to rake leaves with, a rake and trash cans. And back when I was in high school, a very long time ago, my mama bought this rake for me, and it is the coolest thing ever. And she got it on QVC, if you remember what that show is. And what's cool about this is that you put it over the leaves and you can kind of rake them up like that. But then you pull this together and it'll kind of grip them all. And you can take it over to the trash can and let go and then dump it all out. And so this makes for raking leaves a whole lot quicker, but it's still quite a bit of a chore. So a couple years ago I went and bought this yard vac, and it's just a Cub Cadet lawn vac from Home Depot. And I really wanted a Billy Goat, but man, those things used are still about $900 if you can find a good one. And so I ended up getting this one for about, I think it's $500 or something from Home Depot. And like I say, it does pretty good. The only thing I don't like about it, it's got this plastic shroud on the front, and just like everything they make these days, just kind of junky with all the plastic everybody uses, where the Billy Goat's got a metal shroud on the front of it. And so this will catch, in the yard sometimes and either tear it up or, about knock the breath out of you whenever it kicks back at you. But so that's my only frustration with it, and it just doesn't have quite the suction I wish it did. I wish it could suck up all the acorns in the yard, but it just doesn't have enough power to do that. And so anyway, this is what I like to use, is this yard vac. Go suck up all these leaves. It mulches them all. Used to I'd take probably 6 trash canfuls to the dumpster at a time, where now this thing will mulch everything down, and I only have to take 2 or 3 loads to the dump, and that's it. And it just makes a huge time savings for you, and it makes raking leaves not such a miserable chore. And so I like it. It's been helpful. It's been nice to have, and it makes cleaning things up a lot quicker. So you can kind of see all these we just picked up, and it shreds them all down like this, and gets them all down to where they all fit in one trash can. So, when you're doing a lot of that, it really starts to add up, and it's a real time saver. So we still got some more to do. Let's go clean up the rest of it. So that looks a lot better with everything cleaned up, but I want to show you guys a few updates here on the putting green. So the colors, they're still doing fair. It's just too cold. But they filled in some. You can see right here is a lot of baby grass that came in right up through here. So, I mean, it's not bad. But back here, this is still a mess. And I finally figured out that I've got a serious water problem right here where it just piles up, and I think it's causing disease and choking all that out. So I think I'm gonna look at either readjusting my sprinkler heads a little bit, because I've got one right back here in the corner, got another one that sits right over in here, and the way they overlap causes a lot of water to pile up right here. So I either need to put in like a French drain maybe, or redo sprinklers, something. I haven't decided yet, but that's why a lot of that choked out, but it started to fill in right there for a little while. So, and I know it may seem like, well, just change out your nozzle size, you know, put less water in over there, and I've done that. But the thing about it is, so right back here, this shoots a quarter, this one shoots a half, and this one over here shoots a half. And if I change the gallons per minute on that nozzle over here in the summertime, what happens is all this out here starts to die because it doesn't get enough water. And I kind of, you know, messed with that a little bit earlier this summer, and it was just a bad idea to try to choke that down a little bit to try to see if I could get this to fill in, and it just doesn't want to cooperate. So I've got to figure out some other way. That's why I'm kind of thinking I may put a French drain there that might allow me to get all that to fill in a little better. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm still thinking about it and haven't quite landed on what I want to do there yet. As far as the rest of it goes, I showed you guys the top dressing that we did back in November, and everything has kind of filled in. Still getting some worm castings every so often. I don't know if you guys can see a couple of them there, but they're still happening. So, you know, there's just not a lot I can do right now. It's wintertime, it's December, and the little bit of sunlight this thing gets is in the morning, because the path, the sun kind of comes through right here early in the morning, and it's just not that intense. So there's just not a whole lot of growth I can get right here right now, and that's why it looks a little yellow, and it just hasn't, you know, filled in real well with the top dress sand. You can still see some of it if you get real close, but it's just that time of year, and it'll all look nice again in spring. You know, we'll just keep maintaining it. We'll keep mowing it, and we'll keep shooting some fertilizer on it, and that'll just help to continue to feed it throughout the winter and keep the leaves off of it. And that's a big thing. You know, I thought I'd have a lot more damage than I did when I started this project today. I thought there'd be a lot more, you know, fungus or things going on, but I guess the wind had kind of swirled the leaves around and kept them moving throughout the week, so they didn't sit as long as I thought they had. So it really wasn't that bad. But these yellow spots I showed you, if you keep the leaves piled up on top, it's going to get worse and worse, and eventually it's going to look choked out like some of that back there. So just make sure you keep your stuff cleaned up. And I know it's, you know, clean up leaves is probably one thing a lot of us don't enjoy doing, just like I don't like cleaning out flower beds. That's the other thing I don't like doing that much. But you'll be thankful you did. Your turf will do a lot better, and it'll recover a lot better for you guys. You know, a little up further north where you get snow and things like that. In springtime, whenever things start to kick in, you'll have a little better recovery, a little quicker green up. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. It's just kind of a cold day out here. Just wanted to get out here and clean things up a little bit while I could. But guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Please like these videos. It really helps us out in the ratings. But I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. We'll see you in the next one. All right, so y'all check out how smooth this is after doing that top dressing sand last month.